Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite tournament or GPP plays for this Week 10 NFL DraftKings main slate. Let's dive right into it. And like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of my cheat sheet, breaking down a couple of game stacks that I like targeting this week, as well as some of my favorite individual plays and stacks. But as always, everyone, want to recommend and remind you to join the Discord channel, which is completely free to do. We now have over 830 people in there talking multiple different sports for DFS, primarily NFL and NHL, but also some of their favorite sports bets too. So if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. With that being said, let's dive into the cheat sheet here. We're going to kick it off with a couple of game stacks that I like targeting, starting with this game between the 49ers and Buccaneers. Now, the four guys that I have highlighted here on the cheat sheet are all projected to get some decent ownership this week, but the build that I've created here for tournaments, I believe is going to make us unique, which is stacking up Purdy and his top two pass catchers with Deebo Samuel, who should thrive against that secondary for the Buccaneers, and George Kittle, who's been a monster for the 49ers this year, and then running it back with Cade Otton, who's now seen 31 targets in his last 3 games, clearly the number one pass catcher in this offense with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out, and I think the 2 tight end build there will allow us to get unique. But overall, again, this game's going to be popular to target, but I believe with the build that I have there, that's going to allow us to get unique. And then another game that I like targeting here this week is this game between the Bills and Colts, and I like stacking up Josh Allen with Khalil Shakir. Keon Coleman's been listed as out this week. Amari Cooper's still limited. I wouldn't mind pivoting off of Shakir here to Dalton Kincaid, or even doing a double stack with Kincaid listed here. He's cheaper in the 4K range, but then I like running it back here with Jonathan Taylor and Josh Downs. Now, Jonathan Taylor sitting in a really good spot here against this Bills defense, who have not been great at stopping the run this season, and with so many decent running back plays this week, talking Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, all kind of in this pricing range here, Jonathan Taylor is going overlooked, and he could go for 25, 30 plus DraftKings points in this matchup, really be a GPP winner, so I like him. I also like Josh Downs as well, with Joe Flacco starting at the quarterback position. In every game that Flacco has started for the Colts this year, Downs has seen at least 9 targets and really been the go-to guy for him, plus Michael Pittman has been ruled as out for this Sunday. Now, folks, before we dive into some of these individual plays and stacks here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Truly, every like, comment, and sub that you guys leave here on this channel really does help me out, and it's completely free to sub. So again, if you haven't done that yet, I would really appreciate you doing so. Alright, now diving into some of these individual plays and stacks here, we're going to kick it off at the quarterback position. I like Russell Wilson this week and going up against that secondary for the Washington Commanders, one of the worst secondaries in the NFL right now, and I think we just do a little 1-to-1 stack there with George Pickens. We don't need too much out of Russ. If I'm shooting for 4x value, that's 24 DraftKings points. Pickens there, you're kind of hoping he goes for 2 touchdowns, 100 plus receiving yards, and he could do that against that secondary. Another guy that I will absolutely be playing this week is Aaron Rodgers, and you can just see here I got Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams listed as honorable mentions. I'll probably be stacking them up with both of those guys. You could do a 1-to-1 stack as well and kind of just hope that everything goes through that one wide receiver, but if Rodgers is going to have a big day, it's likely that both of these guys are involved, so I do like that. You could run it back there with James Conner as well and do a little game stack. Now, diving into the running backs here, and you're going, watch my cash plays video. What does that mean? Well, for those of you who don't know, I post a completely separate video actually before I post this tournaments video called my cash plays video. That is targeted towards 50-50s, double-ups, and head-to-head contests. But all the running backs that I highlighted there are going to be in my tournaments this week as well. Like I said, the running back position looks really nice this week, but I pretty much condensed all of my running back plays in that cash plays video. So if you haven't watched that yet, make sure you go do so. Next, we got the wide receivers here, and one of the best wide receiver cornerback matchups this week is Terry McLaurin going up against Joey Porter Jr. So I really like him in this spot. DVOA looks really good. GPP score looks really good. Getting that from FTN for those of you who are curious. And I like this price here at $7,300. Again, if I'm shooting for 4x value, 28 DraftKings points, he can get us there. We could even do a little mini stack in that game if we wanted to. Maybe roll out Russ with George Pickens, do a little run back there with Terry McLaurin. Hell, you could even mix in Najee Harris if you wanted to. I don't mind this spot for him, but Terry McLaurin is looking at one of the best wide receiver cornerback matchups in week 10 here. Talked about George Pickens already. He's got a nice GPP score as well this week. Jordan Addison and really kind of TJ Hawkinson here as well. I'm highlighting both of those guys because both Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson are expected to carry a lot of ownership this week, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to be playing both of those guys in my cash and tournament lineups this week, but I'll probably make a lineup or two that includes Addison and or Hawkinson as well. Is it crazy to think that the Minnesota Vikings score 4+ touchdowns in this game and Addison and or Hawkinson score 1 or 2 of those? Not crazy to think that at all. And again, you're kind of pivoting away from that higher ownership with Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson. I then got Ricky Purcell there. I'm realizing now that I named him as Rick Purcell. He is Ricky, not Rick, but ultimately sitting here at $4,400. And assuming that Juwan Jennings is not going to play here again this week, as well as Chris Conley, he could be the number 2 wide receiver in this offense, and he's going to carry much lower ownership than the guys that I highlighted earlier. And then again, going to the honorable mentions here with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, I'll be playing them in a stack with Aaron Rodgers. Both these guys saw double-digit targets last week, and if you're stacking them up in a tournament lineup, that's really what you're hoping for again. And then I got a couple of tight ends there for you. Just talked about TJ Hawkinson. Really good spot here against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really, the Minnesota Vikings in general sitting in a good spot here this week. And then Juwan Johnson, you probably just saw, I had it listed as Juwan Jennings, who plays for the 49ers and is a wide receiver. What I was trying to highlight here was Juwan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints. No Chris Olave this week. I really don't know who or which wide receiver is kind of going to be the guy for the Saints here this week. I believe a lot of the volume is just going to go through Alvin Kamara. I think we're going to see Taysom Hill involved, but at $3,300, Johnson is one of those guys who can just randomly score 2 touchdowns in any given matchup. So as a tournament play, he kind of stuck out to me. I think he'll be slightly more involved than we normally see him. And then wrapping it up here with some defenses, we got the Chargers at home here facing the Tennessee Titans. I don't care which quarterback starts, whether it's Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. This is a beautiful spot here for the Chargers. Beautiful spot for the Vikings as well, taking on this Jacksonville offense, which has not been able to get anything going all year long. Plus, they're starting Mac Jones at the quarterback position this week. Yikes. You got the Bears facing a rookie quarterback in Drake May. I got the Jets here because I like the price at $2,900 due to the playmakers they have on the back end. Purely tournament for me, but maybe the Jets just get rolling after a decent win last week. You got the Patriots facing a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams, and then the Broncos here, if we're really looking to punt, I don't mind them at $2,400. They got some playmakers on their defense too, but I don't love the idea of going into Kansas City and facing Patrick Mahomes. But again, that's why they're so cheap here, $2,400, essentially punting the position. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks, and let's win some money on this Week 10 main slate.